Understanding how you legally access your property can affect your ability to get a loan on it, your future property values. There's lots of different details. We're going to talk about all the different types of legal access to a property coming up next. Hey, what's going on, friends? Today we're going to talk about legal access to property, and this is an important topic. It's maybe a little bit dry and not the most entertaining, but it's something that's important to understand because it does have a big effect on your ability, one, to purchase a property or to finance a property, and it'll affect your title insurance if there are issues. And so you want to understand what that is and how that affects your title insurance, because going forward it could affect the value of your property and your ability to sell it. So we're going to talk about the different types of legal access. There's public roads, there's private roads, there's flag lots, and then there's easements. And so we're going to go through these, and I'm going to show you an example of every one so you can kind of tell the difference, because sometimes people just assume that it's an easement but it's really a flag lot, or they assume it's a flag lot but it's really an easement, and they're different and they legally have different aspects to them. So it's important to understand what they are and what the differences are. So we have this map here, and I'm going to show you a couple of different examples. This is like a tax map that kind of just shows where the layout of all of the different lots are, but this has a good example of each type of access to a property. So the first one is a public road. So these are roads that we're very familiar with, and you just drive, you turn off of the public road onto your driveway and you have access. The important thing to kind of consider here is, do you actually have access from the public road? Because if it's a state highway, sometimes there's additional approvals or permits that you have to get to gain access from a state highway. So that's something that through the land buying process that you want to understand and be aware of. If it's a neighborhood road like this, it's pretty straightforward, but it's something to consider and look at when you are buying property, especially on a big major state highway or road. So that's pretty simple. That's what people are most commonly understand in terms of access, is just using a public road. And then we also have flag lots. So this is pretty common here in Hawaii and in other places where you have large subdivisions and not all of the lots actually adjacent to the public road. So what they do is they build a flagpole on the lot that touches the public road and then allows access to the lot. And that's kind of what this lot looks like right here. And it's called a flag lot because it kind of looks like a flag, right? It's got a flagpole, and then it opens up, and this is the main portion of the lot. The important thing to understand about a flag lot is that this is actually your property, right? So you have ownership over this. It's not an easement. You're not going over somebody else's property. Your lot actually looks like this, and this is your legal property. It counts towards the acreage of your overall property, and this is yours to drive over. Sometimes you'll have a flag lot like this, and then there'll be an easement over it that allows access to like this lot over here, because this one doesn't actually have a flag that touches, or a pole that touches the public road, and they would need to access over your lot. So that's something that you would look at and verify in your title report, and we'll cover a little bit more about easements here next. But that's a flag lot that you fully own the entire access to your property via the pole on your flag. All right. And then the next one is a shared road. So a shared road is something like this, where you access it off of a public street here, but it is a separate private piece of property that in this case, these 5 lots all share in order to access their properties. And it's different. It's specific for every situation, but in many cases, the shared road, there'll be some type of agreement inside of your on your deed that will describe how that road is maintained, who's responsible for it, what percentage of ownership each lot has. And in many cases, each lot, like in this case, would have maybe a 20% ownership. So they all equally share in the ownership of the road, but they all may equally share in the cost of maintaining that road. And so sometimes in old neighborhoods, that doesn't exist. The actual road maintenance agreement is what it's called, was never recorded or never made because it was done a long time ago. And then there is no legal agreement between the owners on how a road is maintained or used. And so that's something that's important to understand when you're in a shared or private road type of situation, that what is the implications in terms of maintenance on that road and every owner's rights and responsibilities. So that's a shared or private road. And then moving on to easements. So easements are a little bit more complicated because you're not going to see them necessarily on a general map. You're going to have to get a survey or look at a tax map that has a description on it. And the easements are always going to be described in your legal description of your title. So it's going to be a together with or subject to, those type of language will be in your legal description that will describe the easement. But to actually see what the easement looks like, you really need to get a survey done, and the surveyor will also mark it out. So this is kind of what an easement looks like. Here is where you have a granted easement that looks like kind of a road, but it accesses all of these different properties. But so in this case, if you use this easement to access this lot down here, where there's kind of a cul-de-sac down here, you would have an easement that would grant you access over all of these different lots, and that would be described on the title of each of these lots in your title report. So an easement is a legal right to use property as described in the title, on title, but you don't actually own it, right? And it runs with the land. So easements cannot be dissolved unless all the owners that are affected by it agree to it. And so no matter if the easement was granted to one owner, no matter how many times that property resells, that easement continually in perpetuity is granted to future owners. And so you'll see it on and a lot of times what you'll see commonly especially in Hawaii, is that there's an easement on paper, but it's not actually where it exists on the lots. And sometimes that can cause some disagreement or conflict amongst neighbors, where, you know, maybe the road runs like this to these different lots, but the actual easement is over here. And if a owner buys a lot here and they don't want you to currently drive where the road is, and they want to realign where the easement is, then you have to figure out how to do that. So that's a common issue that comes up. But again, understanding if it's an easement, what it is, where it is, are all very important parts of buying property. So this is a real quick summary. Everything is very situationally dependent, and you want somebody who knows what they're looking at to look at this stuff and give you a good idea. And of course, the best thing to do is get legal advice after getting a survey done by a professional if you really have questions. But in most cases, an experienced realtor who knows what they're looking at and has experience dealing with these things can give you a good idea of what you're dealing with and what the implications are. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments below or email me at dylan@buybigisland.com, and we will get back to you. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next week.